We are on time. Precisely on time. Actually, a little bit early. Never mind. We are early. Yes.
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 Yes. They're like, no, it's impossible.
We are early. And do you deserve that, chat? Do you actually deserve that? Because I look over at the likes, and there's only 50 likes out of like 200 people. Weak, soft, undeserving,
1/4.
unworthy,
My God, disgusting. Lazy.
repugnant, all of the other words that are fanciful and mean bad. Now, let me see. Oh, there we go. See, I've thought ahead today. I've actually placed my phone in a place where I can find it to get into Streamlabs. Huh, remarkable.
Wow, profound.
Today's topics. We will be leaning heavily on the ANCAP anti-vax cat trap today. I remember the whole blurb. For Troy, Total War, that'll be a horrible thing, which I refuse to spend money on, but fortunately for me, Kyle is of a lesser moral fiber than myself. Games Workshop said that they had made a manual copyright strike in error and that they were very, very sorry for not checking whether they would be blowback first, I guess. Dead Space Redemption Arc for EA. I've been told again by the anti-vax ANCAP cat trap that is actually looking promising. I believe he lies. We'll see. And finally, Fairy Godmothers. That's not going to tell you a whole lot just now, but believe you me, you'll understand.
No. I forgot about that article. I was like, today was a good day.
It's a good article, Carl. I don't see what's wrong with you.
Perfectly neutral. It isn't, though.
It is. So, let us begin, Kyle, with you've added up some patch notes here, I see, in Mandarin, of course, because Creative Assembly are a bunch of fucking communist sympathizers.
Yes, I did add patch notes. The specific patch note article I thought was of interest because I don't want to credit Creative Assembly for this because I believe it's actually Feral Interactive doing the work here. They're continually working on Rome Total War Remastered, and one thing that I actually thought was worth mentioning here is they've added other mechanics from the other Total Wars, specifically like Barbarian Invasion and the Alexander campaign, and they're adding it to the base game so that modders can actually access those systems and continually mod and improve and add more mechanics, like the swimming, the Schildstrom, the other religious mechanics, the horde mechanic from Barbarian Invasion, immortality, named legions, and certain restricted mercenaries. So more functionality for modders. I thought that was worth mentioning because that's actually pretty cool that they're doing that. They're going above and beyond the call now and starting to make it so that modders can even have more fun with it.
I mean, it's nice to see that someone's doing a job. Creative Assembly might not be it, but at least they're outsourcing the doing of the job. That's a thing. It's something. You can't whine too loud about that, right?
Mm-hmm. And the only reason why it's also worth mentioning is because Feral Interactive, if there is going to be a Medieval 2 remaster, I honestly expect to see Feral Interactive behind it.
Kyle, don't open your mouth about that, okay? Because I don't want to have hope. I don't, and first and foremost, I don't want to have hope. But secondly, I also don't want to have hope for the future of Creative Assembly and Total War being a remaster of a what? How old is Medieval 2 now?
2006 or 5? Let's go check. Steam.
So 15-year-old game. Why is my hope for the Total War franchise a fucking 15-year-old game?
2006. Close.
God damn it. Jesus Christ. It's like, Creative Assembly, could you just go back 15 years, please?
Interestingly enough, one of the developers now credited with Medieval 2 Definitive Edition is now Feral Interactive. Is that a prelude to something here? There's no way in hell they existed when Medieval 2 was actually developed, but now they're on the credits list. Is this...
Maybe.
Is this foresight?
I mean, Rome 2 was a big success, and Rome 2 undoubtedly cost Creative Assembly next to nothing. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Feral Interactive literally paid them for the privilege. So, I mean, it would make sense for them to do Medieval 2 as well. And hey, again, if they do that and open it up to as much in the terms of modding, that that will be an even bigger thing than Rome, because Medieval 2 was so well moddable. And what they should really try and do, though, before we finally get to Troy, I promise we'll get onto the topic at some point here, but if they could do this, and I have no idea how feasible it would be, or if it's even mildly possible, but if there was some way to get in touch with the people who had made the largest mods for Medieval 2, like the Lord of the Rings mod, and kind of walk that over, that would be unbelievable. But there's probably a whole minefield of copyright and trademarks and God knows what else. So
They could just simply do community outreach program where they don't necessarily go like, we want the Lord of the Rings mod. They just simply go like, we want modders to come over and try modding this. What would be some things that would help making the game more moddable for you? Which seems to be what Feral Interactive asked the Rome Total War 1 community when they basically made it moddable. Like, what would you guys like us to do? And they're like, you're asking us for your opinion? Unlike the other creative assembly staff like Dogbert, who fucking goes around harassing community members.
Unlike the other creative assembly who removed all modding tools in Empire and has since been slowly parceling it out. And the most ridiculous part is that people are thanking them for it. God, I hate that so much. It pisses me off that people, and in the modding scene too, are, thank you, creative assembly, thank you for your crumbs. No, yell at them. Jesus Christ.
Thank you for fucking my wife in my bed. I really appreciate it. That's the same.
It's appreciated.
You're satisfied, my wife. I couldn't do it myself. That's.
Thank you. Like, look, guys, we can edit battle maps now. Isn't that amazing? Oh, yeah.
We could do that.
Meanwhile, in Medieval 2, they've added in Minas cucking Tirith.
Oh God, it's kind of hilarious.
Look, we can add in the assets that CA gave us access to.
Wow, the bare minimum. Terrible.
Anyway, so Troy, Kyle, you played it for 8 hours because you are an enormous simp. So
I needed clickies. I needed more subscribers, and it actually managed to get me some. So Troy Total War is actually fairly interesting. I was surprised. I went into it fairly negative, honestly. The game has improved actually quite a bit since its launch. There's a lot of little things in the game that are kind of cute. Now, I'm going to go into the good stuff first, because the bad stuff is a lot. It's actually to such a degree that I would not recommend this game, to be honest. So, it's going to spoil that right off the bat. So starting with the good, right? The mythos stuff that they've been adding to the game has actually made the game significantly more interesting. Like, focusing on the aesthetic and the stylization. They basically did what Three Kingdoms did when it came to the art direction, and did it double that. So the campaign map is heavily stylized, the UI elements are super stylized. Like, the art director for this game needs head pats, and he needs to have bald spots by the time it's done, because of what he's done with the shitty Warscape engine. It actually looks gorgeous, in spite of the fact that it's on Warscape, because Warscape's a hideous engine. And when you have a good art director pushing the game down a good path, the game can actually look kind of sexy, and it kind of does. He's even gone an extra step in the regards to the art side of it by doing something that the other Total War games never did. This is more of a visual thing and doesn't really add anything to the gameplay, but it's certainly appreciated. The big thing that I noticed was blood in the water. I wasn't quite prepared for seeing blood in the water until we got to like the first river battle in the stream, where there's just like these blood, like the river turned literally to blood. Like, it was blood going down the river. And it was such a weird novelty that I scrolled in. I noticed another thing. Each unit generated their own splash and ripples. I had never seen that in the previous Total War games, because they don't do that in Total War Warhammer. They just generate like splash, like little splash entities. So the art direction is actually fantastic for this game. Like, it's actually really good. So it's the strong suit of the game. The music, it's very 300 inspired. It's not bad. It's all right. It's more interesting than the other Total War music that we've gotten, like Total War Warhammer, which is just really boring. So, good job in the art direction, good job on the music. That's kind of, unfortunately, where the good kind of just sort of pitter-patters off. One thing I will say is pre-scripted battlefields, verticality, fantastic. They have really cool levels, but I can't say too much about them because the AI is so abysmally bad. It's the Warscape AI all over again, but even more fundamentally flawed. You want to fight in a settlement? The minute you reach range and you range attack them, they abandon all of their defensive positions to just beeline it for you. So the AI is remarkably bad to an absolutely painful degree. It's unforgivable.
See, that's the problem, right there. You can have really cool map ideas like verticality, like cool-looking settlements. You can add in all kinds of mechanics like marshlands and rivers and stuff. But none of that matters for one goddamn squat.
The minute the AI does.
If the AI isn't able to utilize them. Like, again, like you say, and this was the problem in CA just can't figure this out, right? They have this problem where either, like in Three Kingdoms, if you attack a settlement, they will just stand there near the edge of the settlement and be shot to pieces, and when one unit has been wiped out, they'll rotate in another unit for you to shoot at. Very helpful. Or the other solution, which they've apparently gone for here, is the moment the red line touches the enemy, okay, charge! And then you just surround them and you butcher them. Now, the intelligent thing would be to go like, okay, I don't have any range units, back up into the settlement, but AI is not CA's strong suit.
And you mentioned the word settlement, and I have to fucking go and piss all over the game now. So the maps are fantastic. They're really cool. Like, I'm gonna say that because I feel like it's worth noting that the map level designer dude needs head pats too. Bald spots for him. But AI man needs to have some legs broken. And also, whoever's idiotic idea was to remove every single cunting mechanic they've added when they made Attila to city damage and city destruction and fortifications of cities, your legs need to be broken several times over. You've literally removed every bit of good progress that they have made since Three Kingdoms. And on that note, it's also important to note that the forest fire mechanics from Three Kingdoms are gone. Completely. They're not here.
Oh. That's CA in a nutshell, though. This is every title they've made now for years. Every time they make an advancement, they take away two other mechanics.
Yes, exactly. Also, the map is gorgeous, right? The campaign map is fantastic. It's got a dynamic lighting system, and it just goes from day to night, and it's kind of cool. It's very pretty. But one thing I want to point out, when I scrolled out, I got mad. I got very mad. I got ridiculously mad. Not because of anything that the game visually did wrong or was broken, but because I was reminded by something. I noticed that the map's a huge fucking archipelago, right? All these islands and stuff. There's no naval combat. What the fuck?
Because again, no, Creative Assembly explained this to us. They removed naval combat because they had a hard time balancing it.
It doesn't matter. Then get good making it better.
Yes. Get good, Scrub, should be the only response to that. Like, okay, so you can't figure it out. Well, fix it.
Precisely. Fucking precisely. Especially because their art director, dude, has done such a fantastic job with the river blood and water and splashes and shit. I wanted to see that in the ocean. That would look so cool. Not to mention with the whole, if they're going with the mythos things, you could have like a kraken monster thing come out of the water and start rocking the boat, flinging dudes off the deck. What a missed opportunity.
On that note as well, to preempt the potential things that chat will bring up in a moment here, yeah, we don't know whether or not they had big enough boats to even transport like large numbers of men over even like small inland seas, and there definitely wasn't a whole lot of naval combat going on during the period. But here's the thing. This is already about Troy. This is already about the Greeks crossing a huge body of water to get to Troy, and now, realizing that they'd screwed up the historical node, they've added in Cerberus, and Griffins, and Hydrus. So, screw you, add in naval combat. Because it is not at all an argument about historical authenticity, which is not the same as historical accuracy if you're a creative assembly retard.
Definitely.
Because in Three Kingdoms, which they have the entire naval combat for already made in Shogun, they still just went like, nope, don't want it.
So yeah, I booted up the game so I could look again. So when you select the campaign, you get 3 different options. Historical, truth behind the myth, gay, and mythological. The mythological one is actually the more interesting, and I will show you why in just a second. The reason for that boils down to the campaign map actually looks cool, and also one key fundamental thing here. So if we go to like, how did you do this? Settings or something, right? Whatever. Either way, if you activate the mythos stuff, the army roster increases. You get mythical creatures, you get Cerberus units, you get Hydra units, Griffin units. Because each one of those monsters have their own army unit types, which have special effects and stuff like that. So there's infinitely more units and resources when you turn on those modes. It's like you're disabling half of the game by not playing with it on.
It's because it was a retarded idea to begin with. And they went at it half-assed as well. The whole truth behind the myth thing was the worst possible of both
that's
worlds.
worse.
Because they came up with, let's make the Bronze Age units boring, which they don't need to be, and then let's be like, we're gonna have Minotaurs, and people go, a Minotaur's awesome, and then goes, it's a dude with a helmet. What?
Yes.
And if they'd gone for just historical, there was so much cool they could have done, because the Bronze Age armor is really cool and unique looking. It's massive, it's stylized, it's golden, it's bronzed. They could have done so much interesting with that. Huge hide shields, long spears, javelin skirmishes, like that. They could do cool stuff with that. They chose not to, or they could have gone hardcore myth, which is what they eventually did, because that's what people wanted. I want to see the mythological Troy. I want to see the grand city on the hill with tremendous walls requiring Poseidon to knock them down.
With an earthquake,
Instead, and then they went for just kind of like a little bit of both, which is the worst idea.
The color saturation here is pretty good. Now, one thing I want to point out when you turn on the Mythos mode that I wanted to pull up, because I have the game up on stream, the big fucking statues in the background, that's retarded. That's basically like roads, but like times 20. It's like, yeah, there's giant statues. Sometimes when you look in the ocean, you'll see little giant fucking sea monsters flopping around in the water. And if you look in the sky, you'll see Zeus staring down at you. Like, there's a lot of weird things in this game that are kind of cute.
That's like, cool, though. Like, that lens... You know what's really sad, though? That means that this game is more mythological and magically cool than Warhammer was.
Yes, and that's what I was actually going to lead into with this. This game, for all of its flaws, and all of the things that it kind of sucks at doing, is infinitely superior to Total War Warhammer. For one key fucking factor. While the settlement mechanics for battles are very much gone, it has more battle variety, more strategic verticality, more literally anything when it comes to the tactics and overall like gameplay decisions that you make than Total War Warhammer has. And that's when I was playing that kind of like made me go like, oh my god, like this game is I wouldn't recommend it, right? I don't recommend Total War Warhammer either. But, like, this game is infinitely better at doing a lot of things than their fucking Total War Warhammer game is. They have siege battles in this game. That already is better.
That already makes it a better product.
That's the worst part. Like, it's got problems, yes. And, again, I can't say this. I can't say this because I can't say that, oh, you know, it might get better because of what they did with Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms was on its way to becoming an infinitely more interesting game than at launch. At launch, it was boring, it was bad. By the end of when they stopped supporting it, the game actually had potential. It's not great, it's not good yet, but it was actually on the point of recovery. Then, they made the fucking abysmal decision to make a Three Kingdoms 2, and to prevent the game from actually getting its continuous support that it needs before it should even be a proper goddamn game. See,
actually, Kyle, what you're an abysmal. It's a brilliant decision, Kyle, because they realize they can get people to pay for one product 3 times.
that's terrible, and you fucking know it. Don't.
Total War Warhammer, 1 game, 3 payments, plus DLC.
Plus DLC for each thing. See, the thing is, I don't mind expansions on the game's content. Expansion packs, be it in, well, an expansion pack can be like anything really, because it's not very defined terminology. But you know what I mean, like a chunky expansion pack. The Mythos expansion for this game. Now let's talk about price for a little bit. The price of the game to pick it up now is actually pretty affordable and cheap. Now that's what you think until you start looking at the content package. All the DLC isn't included in the bundle, and you kind of want, if you wanted to pick up this game, if you actually do, you don't really want to pick it up without the fucking Mythos pack, because the Mythos pack adds like quests and fucking other cool shit like expeditions, stuff that kind of makes the game have more meat to it. Without that meat, that's why I thought the historical mode was boring.
I just looked it up right now. The base game is a rough equivalent to like $35, which is still a lot for a halfway Total War game. But if you wanted everything, currently it is on sale for 32% bundle discount. But normal price for Troy Total War with the DLC is $75 roundabout.
That's a bit steep. That's a bit steep. Yeah. Well, a bit, a lot. Like, you know what I mean, you little munchkin.
I know, it was really steep. $75, holy shit.
It is. If only the AI was good and makes use of these, like, little fucking crevasse things. Yeah, no, the maps are fantastic. Honestly, switching over to pre-scripted maps, I was skeptical at first. And I kind of still am, because I can't really tell if the AI is fun with these maps half the time, because half the time they just stand around like fucking retards.
The foe has sighted your hidden units.
Most probably, if you're gonna have, like, heavily customized maps, you have to make an AI for them. Now, yes, that will make the AI very predictable. Maybe you could add in 2 or 3 variations, and eventually you'll figure it out, and then you can start screwing them over. Easy, but hell, that's what it is like now. You still know exactly what the AI is going to do, and you can still kick their asses easy. It's just that at least now you'll have some variety depending on the map for what they'll do.
That's true. That's very true. Now that I have the battle up, I can now remember the remaining things. So they have the same tab, the axis thing, that Total Warhammer has. This is fantastic. This has always been one of the best functions implemented in Total Warhammer. The ability to hide foliage, the ability to, you know, make it so you can see the little dots on the map if you want to see them. That's always been a good thing. But one thing I will say about the UI and user interface, while the user interface is actually very stylized and very pleasant to look at, when it comes to combat, when a unit's routing and a unit is shattered, it took a while for me to figure out that that was shattered for that skull and a flag versus the little running dude. Because I was like, wait, like, what are they doing? Like, it's very difficult to tell because they're just red. There's not the white flag. And I'm not sure how I feel about that change. Visually, it's a bit harder to read that language, and you can't really see it out of your peripheral vision as well as you could in other things. But there, I think that kind of... Oh, yeah, I'm not even done. Fuck, we haven't even talked about the multiplayer thing. Yeah, so we need to talk about that, because that looks retarded. And the fact that this game has been out for a year and has done the Epic exclusivity thing, and there's a button that says you can play the multiplayer campaign, you can play multiplayer battles, but it warns you that it's in beta. And I'm like, what? You can't possibly be in fucking hunting beta.
This is what a legend looks
Well, you can if you're Creative Assembly. Why would you release a product? Why would you finish it? You can be criticized for a completed product, Kyle.
You can be. That's actually something we were mentioning on stream. Yes, multiplayer campaign in beta. Multiplayer quick match and regular multiplayer battles also in beta. That shouldn't even be a thing.
No, that shouldn't. Like, first and foremost, that shouldn't be a thing at all, because these are features that have been in Total War games for a couple decades now. And secondly, this is a year-old game. There is no beta in a year-old game.
If you go on the store page, does the game say it's in early access? No. Then why the fuck is this in beta? this should be done. This should have been done.
Wanted to criticize.
I don't like shitting on new teams, and I don't like shitting on the Bulgarian studio because I have this suspicion that they're actually, like, if the Bulgarian studio is successful, they could produce something really amazing because they're not the British assholes up north. Like, a part of me wants to believe in the little Bulgarian team that could, but my fear is that the little Bulgarian team that could is about to get fucking raped by Creative Assembly, the same company that raped the Australian team and left them out to fucking dry when Stormrise became a thing. Like, I really don't trust them.
If they become too successful, they'll just get the Australia treatment.
It's time for you to make an RTS for consoles, and that's the death sentence.
With no money and no time.
He's like, you get half the budget and you have to release it now. But we need 2 more years. Yeah, now. You need to shove it out the door, and then we're shuttering your studio so you don't even get time to release a day 1 patch. Fuck you. Seriously, the Australian team was sent to their death. Like, it's retarded. The Stormrise debacle is one of the little known things about Creative Assembly, and also that Creative Assembly distanced themselves from the Australian team and the Project Stormrise. Like, it's one of those things that just is like, what the fuck were they doing? They lost so many talented people because of that.
Yeah, but talented people that they didn't like, who were upstaging them.
They were. Thanks to the Australian team, we got Rome 1 and Medieval 2. It's all them spiders down there, I tell you. Actually, I think Rome 1 was mostly by the Nottingham team. I remember right. Medieval 2 was a great, I think, achievement more like by the Australian team. It's hard to tell what the level of involvement is because they don't have it listed. Game, you're supposed to stop responding. I told you to close. It's like, okay, I'll fucking turn off. Fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
And that's Troy Total War for you. Don't spend money on it. Don't do Creative Assembly anything. Ever.
I don't really recommend it. It's interesting, and like Three Kingdoms has potential, but considering what they did with Three Kingdoms, I'm actually sad that I have to say that because I feel bad for the Bulgarian team, but I don't recommend it. Because for all I know, it's going to stop getting support, and they're going to pull the plug on it and make Troy 2, and so it's going to be forever incomplete product. Tragic, tragic, tragic. But that is the reality of the situation. You can't trust Creative Assembly in today's current day and age.
But there might still be some potential light in the Bulgarian team. We're just going to have to wait and see. Sadness. Now, as for the little GW is sorry thing. Yes. There is a well, let me just get to it like this, okay? There was the whole thing about them claiming a review video from Midwinter Minis. That was the thing. It caused quite a lot of a stir. And recently, I think earlier today, they came up with a message to them. It's like, okay, we'll release our claim. And they did. And they were very sorry. This was just a mistake, you see. It was just a mistake, even though it was a manual claim. And here's the thing. This is what I called on yesterday's Raft stream, and before that, when I recorded the video I uploaded today as well. To me, all I'm seeing right now is called bloody cynicism. Because guess what happened after they did this? Guess what happened after they did this?
What happened?
Oh, no. We didn't want to do this. You see, this is fine.
What happened?
We're very sorry. We didn't abuse this at all. Then they suddenly people are defending them again. Saying GW isn't actually that bad. You see, they're just defending their copyright again. It's just their intellectual property. They're just doing what they need to do. Okay? It's fine.
As an actual copyright agent, the fact that they fucked up like that is already like really bad. Like that means that their piracy team, their paralegal or however it works over there. If I had to guess, it's probably the paralegal team. Is so fucking incompetent and so fucking inept that they just filed a false fucking takedown. And not only did they file a false fake takedown, but they let that sit for longer than like 20 minutes, for longer than like 10 minutes, for longer than an hour. Like, that is abysmal. You have absolutely failed at your job. And you caused a PR shitstorm? Yeah, their paralegal team should be fired completely. Like, that's terrible. Oh, that's so abysmal. Yeah, no, it's a disaster, really. It's an unmitigated disaster, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. If this happened once, it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen even to a greater degree.
Yep, because they do not care. They are in a position right now where they can't be touched. Like, they are not being affected by this. Which is why I also said as well that the boycott thing doesn't work. You can't boycott them because people will not boycott them effectively. People keep buying their plastic, and so they can do whatever they want. If anything, I think this was just another little test by them to go like, okay, can we get away with this? And there was a lot of backlash, and they figured, okay, well, we don't need to get away with this. But if we wanted to, this is what we could expect. And now, of course, they're hiring staff members. They're hiring kind of the position that you have, but more aggressive, since these people will apparently have quotas. They will have targets that they need to meet internally about reporting copyright infringements. Tell me, Kyle, what happens when, say, an enforcement service has a quota that must be filled?
It's going to get really bad really quickly, and there's going to be fudging on the reports. I can tell you that for a fact, because the minute if you have a quota for how much you have to take down, fuck me. The problem is if you're good at your job, which I am, so my reports get smaller, generally, each month, and they have been progressively getting smaller, because there's literally less stuff on the internet to clean. Now, the problem is, yeah, sure, you can be like, well, it's under control now, and we're going to just fight, but then it zoops back up. So it's one of those treatment things. The thing about anti-piracy is it's an important thing that a company should get because it protects your IP, it also protects your stuff, and it also gives you a really good peace of mind, and it also prevents casual pirators. Because the thing is, if somebody's smart, like most people in chat, and most people I know and I've talked to in our communities, they're smart. If you wanted to pirate something, you're going to find a way to do it, and there's nothing I can do to stop you. And I don't really care, because my goal isn't to stop you, because that'd be pointless. The only people that we go after are the uploaders, and the only focus is to basically desaturate the content so that the casual pirators, or the more mundane people, or the idiots, if you will, because the vast majority of people are too stupid to go to page 2 on Google. You'd be surprised. It's too difficult to go to the second page, and if you can eliminate page 2 and 3, good God, you've cut down piracy by like over 50% now. It's too hard, especially if you remove it from YouTube. Yeah, so that's just kind of the thing. If you can just remove the base stuff, it kind of just stops being as much of a problem. You'll never stop the hardcore pirators, you'll never stop piracy, but you can treat it effectively and get it to manageable levels.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's the thing too. Like, GW doesn't care about that. Not really. For them, this is going to be about striking content on the internet. This is going to be about striking some recasters, absolutely, and some other stuff as well, like alternative models. They'll probably start going after those too. But I do believe they're going to start going after more and more content creators, simply because they got away with it with animations. Like, if they managed to kill the biggest, most prosperous animation community that fandom has ever seen, and they still didn't get a backlash big enough for them to raise so much as an eyebrow, why wouldn't they go after everything else? Part of their primary content on Warhammer Plus right now is how to paint models black and battle reports. Literal YouTube videos. Why wouldn't they start thinking that, okay, maybe we can be the only game in town. Maybe that'll make it a bit easier to sell our ludicrous subscription service to people.
Oh, the tactfulness of their fucking piracy team. So, I like to toot my own horn because we are superior to them in every possible fucking way now. Now that I've seen evidence of their work, I'm now know with the fact that I'm literally god tier. So, they're idiots. The thing is, how you handle this kind of stuff is it's quite simple. YouTube has the tools, and most of these copyright things have the tools in which you can just contact people. Like, the best way to try to deal with a pirate is often just simply asking them, hey, can you take that down? But I don't really want to go after your payment providers. I don't really want to have your YouTube channel taken down. Can you just remove that, please? And then they'll remove it. And what do you have is you get people that aren't trying to actively try to fuck with you. You get people that are like, whatever, it's just that stuff. I guess I can live without it. It's not like I'm going to go over there and remove everything, because number one, I'm not authorized to, and number two, I don't really give a shit if you're not pirating my client stuff. It's not my fucking problem. That's somebody else's shit. Who cares? If they want me to care, they can pay me. Depending on how much they pay me, I care a lot more.
That depends. The question is, how far will they go? Like, I do believe that they might try to go after certain creators, and they'll play it off the same time. If they get a bit too much backlash, they'll be like, oh, no, we're very sorry, we'll release this. But eventually, the community will just get tired of it, and they'll be able to start striking people. And a lot of the smaller channels, they'll just be able to strike outright, no problems, because they don't have the clout in the community. And as for going after people as well overtly, here's the thing. You don't need to on YouTube. On YouTube, the companies have the power to just take stuff down with copyright claims. They can remove things, they can demonetize it, they can take a share of the claim, and the only way you can really challenge them on that is if you decide to take them to court, which is...
Yep.
No one's going to do it.
It's extremely expensive, and you can't really expect an individual to do that. Like, I wouldn't either. Like, they're asking somebody to basically stand up for a little YouTube video that they made and be like, enough is enough, as they get fucking rolled over by the steamroller from the illegal team from Omega Corp. It's not gonna happen, sadly. There's not enough people that are brave enough to do that, and the people who could have done that have already rolled over like cowards and enabled this. They have aided this situation. And that's kind of the situation that the whole Warhammer community is in. Now, what they really should do, what GW should do, because this situation is so easily fixable, not only can they just protect their copyright stuff, all they simply need to do is just communicate. You have a paralegal team. You have some sort of copyright enforcers in-house. It's literally their goddamn job to make sure these things are handled with delicate care, because it can go from being like, oh, you're just, managing the, anti-piracy stuff, whatever, easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? To, oh my god, you're causing a shitstorm for a PR, and now you're burning bridges with the entire community, which seems to be what they've fallen into. What they need to do is they need to readdress their piracy problem. That's what their concern is, assuming that is what their concern is, right? And simply go like, okay, like, let's be communicative. Let's communicate with content creators who we think are violating things, and let's consider ignoring things. Because when you do have a copyright or an IP, right, it's fine to just be like, look the other way when it comes to certain issues. Like, the thing is, does Arch's lore videos, does a painting video do anything to the Warhammer stuff? No. It doesn't affect it in the slightest. In fact, if anything, it's free fucking advertisement.
That's true. But if you're trying to create a monopoly for your streaming service, then that's the different thing again. Like, we talked about this already, whereas here's the thing as well, right? Fair use is not as far-reaching as a lot of people think. It's very interpretive, and it's a legal area that has not been explored properly. Now, in theory, fair use will allow you to do anything that is transformative, essentially. If it cannot be confused or threaten the original product, it is supposed to be fair use. But at the same time, there is also a clause saying that you can't be in what is it, competition with or compete with directly. So in other words, if GW has a show called Battle Report, theoretically, they could absolutely take down a Battle Report channel, and whether or not that would hold up in court for fair use, because it is transformative, it is different people, they're not claiming to be official, they're merely playing the game that they own, mind you, as well, with the figures they own. Honestly, coin toss.
Yeah, they're
And-
sharing their own personal experiences too. It's not like they're, like you said, it's not like they're actually trying to pretend to represent the company or studio. And honestly,
They're not, but
it's just-
again, in theory, they are producing a product that is in competition with Games Workshop's product. So again, it's like, who fucking knows?
the solution here is simple for GW. Simply put, don't interfere with that kind of stuff. They have copyright problems. Okay? Like if you Google one of their audiobooks and you type in the word free next to it, it's oversaturated to fucking high hell. You Google the codexes, it literally, their stuff is so oversaturated. Their anti-piracy team, from my own, like just looking at it, from my perspective, has absolutely failed to do their job. Not only have they failed to do their job, but they're outright doing the wrong job. They're going after YouTubers and content creators, while meanwhile, the internet is over goddamn saturated with everything else that they have as far as digital content is concerned. It's laughable. It's embarrassing. It's almost as bad as the gaming industry is when it comes to their anti-piracy measures, because they use stupid things like inbuilt software that gets out of date and breaks the game later. Like, they use things that punish the actual purchasers, when all they would have to do is just hire a vendor or hire an internal team, just a couple of dudes, and every couple of days just take a fucking look online and take care of it. It's so simple, it's not even funny.
Again, I don't think they care. I don't think they care about their PDFs being online. I don't think they care about 3D printing yet either. Now, that might be a big mistake. We'll have to see. But they do care about building their Warhammer Plus monopoly. And so when GW says they're sorry for accidentally taking down videos, do not believe them. And I bet you we're going to see a hell of a lot more of this.
More than likely. The whole thing about Warhammer Plus is it's already a failure, because it's such a niche. Well, think about it. You don't even need to hope so, do you? It's like it's destined to fail. Why the hell would anyone want to pay a subscription service for a niche-ass fucking thing for some shitty half-baked animations? Like,
oh, this is the thing, there's a lot of simps out there. Like, I share your view. From my perspective,
there's no
Warhammer
good deal
Plus
here.
is what we used to have for free, now on a paid service, plus a couple of YouTube videos a week, plus access to commercial magazines with half of the pages ripped out. Like, I genuinely haven't seen worse value for money practically in my life. And yet, I see a lot of simping for it. So I don't know. Like, I hope it'll fail, but Christ, I don't even know anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. Like, it's just one of those things. Oh, man. See, it's weird, because I did do some research into their issues, right? And they're just doing it wrong. And it's one of those things where it's like, you can see how this, like, beginner mistake began, but they've just encouraged this thing, this mistake, which may have started out as a genuine, fuck up. Like, when you first start doing anti-piracy stuff, you got a lot to learn about how to handle a situation. You can't always approach it with the hammer, because what you might do is you might cause an incident and make things worse, in the case of what GW's done. They're losing consumer-based trust because of how poorly they're handling their issues. All they simply need to do is be more communicative. And that is remarkably easy. YouTube has a tool for this, by the way. When I deal with, like, other YouTube channels or removed YouTube channels, because I kill people's YouTube channels when they're obstinate and they need to die. But you simply just use the contact button to let them know, like, hey, can you just remove this? And then they remove it. And then you know what? They don't have to lose their channel. There doesn't need to be an incident. And everybody just, shakes hands and moves on to the next job. Easy peasy.
We'll see. We'll see. So, Dead Space Redemption arc for EA. You have already simped for Creative Assembly, so
It's
why don't
time.
you sim for the Great Evil?
Yes, so EA is basically heaven now, chat. You need to shut up, chat. No one cares about your opinion. EA is totally not paying me any money. They're not, but they should consider it. But the thing is, honestly, I watched the Dead Space thing, and I listened to the developers, and I know a lot of people talked about how these people were developing an Andromeda, but a lot of these people, if you look at their actual track records, have worked on other good games as well. Other good games as well. I mean, other good games, not Andromeda. Andromeda was not good. Andromeda was trash, abject, abhorrent garbage. But when I listen to them talking about the game, right? And they talk about the things they want to focus on, and they make good. They want to focus on the horror aspects. They want to make the combat, just as gritty, just as intense, and keep that sort of every shot is just as important as the last sort of horror feel. I have a lot of confidence, well, a lot of interest, I'll say, that EA can actually pull off Dead Space Remastered. They've already done good stuff before, and I'm not talking about the games they made back then but I'm saying recently, the CNC remaster. I keep touching back to that because it's often not it's not stated enough how good the CNC remaster was. In fact, it's understated. The overall treatment EA has given the Command & Conquer fandom as far as mods and stuff like that, and giving out source code for the game to help with modders and stuff like that is understated. They have gone above and they have gone beyond most companies. Most companies don't do that. Most companies don't go out of their way to get the original team back together so that they can make the remaster as true to form as possible. It is incredible with what CNC Remaster has been able to achieve. It's also important to note that that was by their community manager that organized it, who was a very passionate CNC fan. So, again, don't think about company names. This is actually a very dumb thing that a lot of beginners do when they look at video game companies and stuff. They're like, EA, bad. Activision, bad. Now, the thing is, yes, they are. But you need to look at the individuals behind each project, because often you can see gems come out of a studio, even if the studio has a shitty track record. All it takes is the right people in the right place at the right time, and generally, good stuff can come out of it. CNC Remaster is proof of that. The Mass Effect Remaster was just a lazy re-release, so I don't really count that as anything. But, we'll see. I have high hopes for the Dead Space Remaster, just based on the stuff I've been hearing about it, based on the people they have on it. It looks like it's got a lot of promise behind it, so it's going to be worth, I think, checking out, especially considering that they also are going to be adding back all the content that was removed. It's not just like a reboot of the franchise. It's basically doing what they couldn't do with the original Dead Space by adding in everything. So all the cut features and content, because the original Dead Space, while it is a classic of survival horror in space, sci-fi horror, it was missing a lot of the stuff they wanted to do in the campaign and story. So it's kind of cool that we're going to actually see the vision of what it was supposed to be come together, and it's going to get that second chance.
That's a lot of disgusting simping right there, which I will rebut in but a moment. But first, I'm going through some of the super chats that have piled up a little bit. Andrew Apalategoe. That is Greek or something, I don't know. Good afternoon. Here's the payment for the week, so please don't take my last cow and 3 chickens. I need them. You don't need a cow. You might need the chickens, but that's for next week.
We need the steak.
Maranga 2, never forget the war banner footsore kerfuffle. That's true. For those of you who are not aware, GW has been an incredibly predatory company for a very, very long time. And they decided to sue a company that wanted to name themselves War Banner because they figured it sounded too much like Warhammer. And eventually, after changing their name twice, they came up with footsore miniatures. And only then was GW like, we will allow you to live, tiny, pathetic thing. Like, they are literally the mafiosos in this. F. Boozier80 posted a smoked pulled pork recipe in the first 22 minutes of the stream chat. Enjoy.
Nice.
But why would you pull pork?
Pulled pork is delicious. You can do so much with it. It's really good in, like, fajitas. Or sandwiches.
Well, I'm not a Mexican immigrant, so I shall just reject that.
You should have it. Even if you're not going to have Mexican. Pulled pork is good otherwise.
Convincing reality. GW genuinely doesn't understand how to communicate, e.g. Curse City, scale, jump for new Horus Heresy models, and murky IP guidelines. They are incompetent. I think they're just overconfident. Like, I believe GW has got away with so much bullying over the years by being the biggest fish in a very small pond that at this point they just assume that if they throw their weight around, everyone will bow down to them. And they might be right. That's the thing. And hell, if they get Hasbro backing them up, they probably will be right. And Good Folk sends a sticker of 3, I don't know what, hippopotamuses?
Yes.
Dragons?
Hippopotamuses.
3 kinds.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention the most important thing. So, the whole thing with EA doing things that aren't fucking retarded as much is actually something that they have changed their policy on how to interact with the community. If you remember before, during the dark age of EA, after the first golden age, they're like, we're not going to respond to anything. We're not going to talk to anybody. And we're just going to ship a game without consulting anybody in the community. They have rescinded that. And that might be because they've been on such a bad track record that they need to earn good boy points back. So they've been actually, like, going out of their way, like they did with the CNC remaster, they're doing with Dead Space, talking to, like, the people in the community and the forums and stuff who still follow the IP, and asking them what they want to see. Being receptive is good. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna do those things, but it's a start.
See, I'm going to have to be the anti-simp here for a bit. First and foremost, Dead Space was a silly willy game, okay?
No, it's not!
It's a silly willy game. It's an engineer in a retarded spacesuit that fights retarded aliens with welding tools. Like, it's a silly IP, okay?
He's
Just
never
like
played
Command &
Dead Space.
It's better off dead. That's what it is.
I want to play
and
Dead
EA
Space.
is doing everyone a terrible disfavor by trying to breathe life back into this bedraggled corpse.
Actually, if anything, my biggest hope for the Dead Space reboot thing is that it's not going to be a shitty port like the one we have right now. Because Dead Space 1 is one of the best sci-fi horror games I've ever played. And it's also a shitty port.
All I know is Stephanie Sterling, let's not misgender anyone here, said that the game was good. That's all I need to know, that it's probably awful.
Who cares what that thing thinks?
Kyle, you need to understand, your game is bad. And you should feel bad about simping for EA.
Dead Space is fun, and it's great.
I am with you, chat. I am with you. EA is awful.
People are awful. EA started out as a company that represented electronic arts, much like the name. Funnily enough, those people
just like the People's Republic Party of China started out as a party that represented people.
Well, not quite the same. It's just people change power. And now they have a bunch of fucking fat business suit people who have no idea what a video game is. Like, I don't...
People's Liberation
we
Army
want
of Liberia.
Green number of money go up, not down. That is the problem. Like, all the passion that Electronic Arts had is gone. Like, remember, Arch came on the other day because I was streaming Battle for Middle-earth, one of the best spin-off Command & Conquer games ever made from the Victory Game Studio, aka Westwood, under EA's guidance. Like, Battle for Middle-earth is fucking amazing. But EA has some of the most amazing IPs ever. They should be the best fucking company making games. They should, because they have the resources and they have the money to do it. But you know what they do? They produce mediocre shit. Or they produce underbaked and underdeveloped ideas. Or greedy ideas in the case of Star Wars Battlefront 2 EA. That's infuriating. That's infuriating because they have no right to do that. They have every right to produce amazing games. They have no fucking cunting excuse to sell anything below amazing in terms of production quality and overall gameplay quality. The experienced personnel they have on staff is insane. They misuse and mismanage their own resources to such a laughable degree. It's a sin. It's an actual goddamn sin, Arch. EA has no right to produce under-quality products. They have no right. I hate them.
Listen to him, simp chat. Listen to him.
I hate them. We should have so many amazing games from them, but you know what we have? We've got like, oh, they might make something amazing in a couple months, maybe. That's the best we got.
Make something you think is good.
Dead Space 1 was always good.
I don't know about that.
You haven't even played it. You're scared of it. Listen, Arch, listen. Okay, I'm scared of scary games too. And I borderline had like an actual... I almost cried playing it the first time. And the only time I've ever played through Dead Space 1. Because I've only done it once. And I'm never going to do it again because it was so horrifying. And I hated every minute of it. I loathed playing that game, Arch. I hated it. But it was the best hate play experience I've ever had.
You are a weak-willed fool, and I think chat should harass you now until you play it again.
The stress levels are so high. I think I almost had a fucking heart attack.
Play it whilst you're playing Fire Warrior, and then you have to bump between the two.
That's terrible. At least Dead Space has good gunplay.
I don't know about that either. But enough simping from you. Simp. You interrupted me in the middle of the super chat. And Glowy says, talk about game development. Arch, since you have access to the inside of Kib's game development, is he really spending the money on the game, or is he spending it all on femboy pictures or gear? As far as I am aware, based upon my own sources, he uses basically everything on feeding his own fat little ass. Like, he buys pizza, and then he eats like a third of it, and he throws the rest out. And he does this purely to mock the poor people that lives in the same building as him. Look at me! I'm throwing away food! As they starve.
He's making fun of me because of Friday's stream. I buy frozen pizza because I'm trying to be cheaper with eating, so I can spend more money on the game. But I can't eat very much, because I basically trained myself to only eat a little bit. Like, I had a hamburger today, and I think that's all I'm going to probably eat today, because I'm full. I'm still full right now, actually. I'll have you know. And you know what that pizza is? It's in the refrigerator, in a fucking Tupperware container, because I need it to last at least a couple days.
I have seen no evidence of this, chat.
Yes, I don't take pictures of everything in my refrigerator, because it's mostly a horror show. Jeff, like, why is that growing in the corner? It's a monster.
No evidence. Unsubstantiated statement. Glowy also says, Arg. You see dog Kibbs be internet pirate hunter. Let's make him walk the plank. He is the enemy. He is correct. He is the enemy.
What are you talking about? I'm your best friend. You want me to be the anti-piracy person.
The only good person who uses the Streamlabs. Shame on the rest of you. You haven't even uploaded. You haven't even liked the video. How dare you? Do you think GW Pay Pigs sold their souls to GW to be able to afford or buy the plastic models? I think the only way anyone could simp that hard for plastic is indeed if they were, I don't know, they've internalized some serious misogyny there, is all I can say. Now, I think we've put this off long enough, Kyle. It's time for the fairy godmother.
No, we can talk about literally anything else.
And we will, but first, the fairy godmother.
He's like, and we will in due time, peasant. But first, we must talk about Cinderella. Wow, Cinderella, wow, beautiful, wow, oh my God.
We must talk about Cinderella. Like, this is a very important topic. Cinderella, the musical, it's out now. I currently have it on my torrent list from a reputable source of things, highly legal in origin, of course. And I hope it's really bad, because it'd be funny. And the worst part is, I actually kind of like musicals on occasion. I really enjoy a good musical, because they can be a lot of fun. Lots of energy, a lot of singing, lots of retarded plot points. And holy shit, if you haven't watched Sweeney Todd, you need to, because god damn, that shaving scene. Oh. It's magic. It's actual, genuine magic, okay? Good musicals are brilliant. But this one might not be one of those. You see that big, muscly ass black man there? That is the fairy godmother.
The fairy godmother is not only fucking. Look at his face. Like, is he mentally unwell?
I think he's attempting to be sassy. That's my assumption.
That expression is the expression of a I don't have a brain cell expression.
I mean, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the actor having, prettied himself up a little bit for an interview, I guess.
Billy Potter, say hello to Fab G. Say goodbye. Goodbye. Scroll down.
Oh, a little bit further.
Oh god, he's got a wreath on his head, and he looks like he's
does, for some
fucking farting himself to death. It's like,
It does look like he's trying to pass a particularly obstinate little shit, doesn't it?
he's like, it's running down my leg right now. I thought you should know. Thank you for sharing. Wow.
I wanted to fucking bring this up because this is where we are at right now in the West, okay? This has nothing to do with video games. Nothing to do with, well, it has to do with our culture. We are now at the point where we have a non-binary fairy goddamn grandmother from Cinderella. And Cinderella, by the way, has no interest in the prince. When the prince goes like, please, Cinderella, won't you be my exclusive owner hole? She says, but what about my thriving career as a fashion designer?
Wow. That sounds so
There is-
boring.
I remember seeing like a post on, like literally in a Russian newspaper, there was an article basically just laughing at the West. It's like, look, they actually have. What was it at the time? I think it was what was it? It was one of the like famous fairy tale characters, which they had, of course, gender swapped to ever living hell as usual, and they were just. Oh no, it was Hamlet. It was bloody Hamlet, wasn't it? And how it was all black people now. All black people in Hamlet. Hamlet was filled of this. Wasn't Hamlet? God, I'm so confused.
It might have been Hamlet.
My own anecdote.
It's been a long
Or
time.
Ham. No, Ham. God. It's something to do with age. God damn it.
That was Hamlet.
Hamlet? No. I'm messing up my own anecdote. Anyways.
You failed.
This will be an example good enough because they would have laughed at this if they knew. It is the fairy godmother or grandmother, whatever her hellish name was. Not only is she race swapped, she is also gender swapped, and it is now a man in a dress that will bless Cinderella, who is now also, of course, a brown woman, obviously, with her magical glass slippers, who are no longer magical glass slippers because those aren't fashionable enough. And she also, of course, rejects the prince, and it has nothing to do with anything anymore. It's just. It is Sargon's skin suit, except it's worse. It doesn't even pretend to be Cinderella. It just has the name, and it slaps it on so that children will nag their mothers. Mother, buy this, buy this. Then they bring it home, then they watch it, and the child just looks at its parent. Why did you betray me, mother? What is this garbage?
Mm-hmm.
There's no dancing teacups in this.
The thing is, chat's going on like, remix your bit. The thing is, you can make a Cinderella play and make it good. There's nothing stopping anyone from doing it except themselves, like this one right here. Now, this is an example of a hijacking, though. Like, everything I've seen, this is A, politicized, B, it also has nothing to do with Cinderella. Like, it just uses the name and uses something that's extremely inflammatory, like having a queer-mosexual bro-ski be a fucking godmother thing for the sake of having a queer-mosexual do it. Okay?
For the sake of it.
That's it. Like, this isn't Cinderella. And they're not even really they're barely pretending it is beyond the name. That's it.
And hell, I don't even care. It's Cinderella. I could not give two shits about this, but it's just another example of the absolute just murder of everything we have ever had. It is the complete destruction of our society. Like, it seems overblown, it's just a musical, but this is everywhere. Like, this is done to everything. Nothing is allowed to remain anymore. Like, there's that meme of like a fat black woman in a Hitler costume saying, "I've always dreamed of portraying Hitler the way he was meant to be portrayed, as a strong black woman." It's like, that's where we are now.
I always wanted to get off to my dommy mommy Hitler, who's also brown. You're like, oh shit. Pretty good stuff. 10 out of 10. I'm pretty sure there's a hentai for that.
There you go. I found it for you. There you go. Now, bearing in mind, this is obviously a joke, but the thing is, we have arrived at a point where the parodies are becoming real. I wouldn't bloody be surprised. We have a black Achilles. Why don't we have an actual black Hitler? Just for the sake of it. Why the goddamn hell not?
A proud woman of color.
I hate the world.
It's fine. See, you
again,
need to look at the bright side of life. Everything's perfectly fine.
It doesn't have to be bad, okay? Everything doesn't have to be bad. Everything doesn't have to be the Cats musical, the new one, where everyone is wandering around in fursuits. It doesn't have to be that. Again, Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of whatever street, is amazing. Like, it's holy shit. Like, you would not believe you could have goosebumps for like 5 minutes straight as you're clutching the armrest of your chair in suspense at a song, but it does that. Like, Jesus, it's brilliant. Like, it can be brilliant, or it can be whatever the hell this Cinderella thing is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been to several plays where they take like a pre-existing idea and they try to do something creative with it, and sometimes it has mixed results. It's good for people to creatively express themselves in their own way, and you can get some interesting sort of ideas out of that. Now, in the case of this isn't creative at all. This is literally clickbait trash from talentless hacks who desperately want to be on the front page of something, and it's worked. It's worked. Like, look, we're talking about it. This is what they want.
Sure.
They don't care. Like, they want their quick, easy peasy money. Like, this is creatively bankrupt, and there's nothing about this that's remotely fresh. Well, if they want to do something kind of interesting, what they could do is just literally gender swap. You know what? It could be a weird, stupid shtick. Gender swapping characters, like all of them just flip flop, and then trying to write a story like that. That could be somewhat intriguing and interesting. It'd be weird.
Wow. Go into your box and never leave.
No, it's something that could be done, and it could be done in a comedic way. Like, that could make a great comedy.
Box.
Look, Arch.
Now.
You can be upset all you want when I have all the money because of my gender-swapped fucking Cinderella story, okay? Fuck you. They're gonna eat that shit up, and I'm gonna be rolling in it.
I think I'm gonna put the box in the river. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I wanted to stop. I just wanted to stop. But
It's fine. The more they do this, the better. Honestly, they just need to keep doing this and never stop. Just fucking do this more. A lot more. Make people... Yes, perfect. Make people have nothing they like. Like, take away everything that chat likes so that they become absolutely dependent on us for everything. This is good. This is good for business. I don't see why you're so negative. Where are you gonna go, chat? Nowhere. We got nowhere to go. We're scared. Too fucking big.
Some rocks too.
Next little bit of news.
And today's final topic, before, as I browse this highly legal Russian site here, I decide to try and download Aladdin, because if I do that, Kyle, I will kill myself.
What about Aladdin? What the fuck?
The remake, the one with Will Smith as the genie.
Oh my god, like, that just doesn't work. Like, literally...
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Ugh. But, so, on the topic of predatory takedown notices, there was a bunch of crazy little morons who wanted to make, like, GTA, what was it, 3 or 2 or something? In 3D, like a full conversion project of GTA San Andreas, which was probably the best GTA game, bearing in mind too, San Andreas was awesome. And they've now had a cease and desist lawsuit. No, not cease it, a straight up lawsuit, I believe, actually filed against them, which is heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm. It's special. It's certainly special.
And the thing is, too, they're not suing them from for breach of copyright or IP violations or anything like that. They're not suing them for any legal breach. They are suing them for breaching their end user license agreement, the arbitrary EULA that is not bloody enforceable at all, where they ban people from reverse engineering the classic games. And that's the thing too. This EULA didn't even exist in GTA San Andreas. And yet they now have put it in retroactively in recent games as a way to take down stuff like this. Like, this is literally a company legislating for itself.
It's fine, Arch. Let it do. He's like, it's literally wrong. Oh, God. Are you even surprised, though?
I'm not, but the thing that worries me is it's happening more and more. And these modders, by the way, they threw in the towel. They were like, "No, we're not gonna get sued by Take-Two Interactive. Like, what the hell are we gonna do about that?" And that's the problem. The legal system is supposed to be there to ensure that everyone is equal before the law, but we're not there anymore. These big companies can bully the shit out of people, and they do so constantly. Like, it is now an actual weapon. Like this too. This is Take-Two launching a lawsuit that probably they would have likely dropped if there had been a countersuit. But the thing is, okay, even just drawing up the paperwork for that is going to cost you thousands of dollars.
That's very true. The thing is with this, is it's one of those things where this is, again, where the community outrage needed to be stronger. Like, it annoys me. It annoys me because this could be an issue that the community themselves could fix by simply just reeing to the highest of fucking heavens, and they'll back off, because bad PR makes these companies often piss themselves and get scared. Especially like things like that. And even if that doesn't work, like, just standing up with modding and stuff like that needs to have a stand for it. Like, a lot of the times, these modders could be a great potential recruiting ground for new employees for these companies.
And that's what the smarter companies do. Like, Bethesda hired the guy who made that excellent story expansion mod to Skyrim, which is a really, really good move. And hopefully, that means that... listen to me, Kyle. Listen to me.
I know.
To me fucking closely here, my child.
The hope is coming through.
That thing they've been working on for like 20 years now, that space thing, it's going to be amazing, my bro. Do you understand? Do you understand? It's going to be Star Citizen. But
I think
released.
the thing that you need to understand, Arch, is that you and I are very alike. You and I, evil noises. The thing is, you kind of are like, but maybe Bethesda gonna be good now. Meanwhile, kid like, maybe EA gonna stop raping my childhood. So we kind of have the same thing, but just in different directions. Look at that. Arch is simping for Bethesda, and through Bethesda, he's simping for Microsoft. Betrayed. Under the bus you go, Arch.
Incorrect. And back in the box with you.
It's not wrong, though. Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. You simp for Bethesda, you simp for Microsoft now.
I not owned, Kyle. They're merely like entering in a partnership or something for $50 billion. It's fine.
For $50 billion. A partnership? They're not partnering. They own Bethesda now. For better or for worse?
Creative freedom. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. And this is an issue, and I don't think, because again, that's right. There is so many things you could potentially try and do again. Again, most likely they might have backed down on this because they're literally suing based on their own end user license agreement, which is absolute insanity. But once more, like, how many thousands of dollars are you going to throw at it? And even then, it is a throw of the dice because a lot of this is simply not clarified. Not to mention, I want to point out too, how much time does this take? Like, Sargon, when he got sued by Aquila, he didn't have a choice. He had to fight it, of course, because otherwise there's no other option. If you're the one getting sued, you have to fight it. You have to. Or come to some kind of agreement where you basically surrender. It took him, 2 years and some months to get to the end of what was essentially, and the judge said so himself, a slam dunk case. 2.5 years, man, for a slam dunk case. And that cost him thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars. Not to mention the time and the stress as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. It's not nice, and it's probably gonna continue, unfortunately.
Yep. Just all I can say is yep to that.
At least real-life Cyberpunk will be less buggy than the PC game version of Cyberpunk.
I wouldn't be so optimistic yet. Starts lagging. He's like, no! Oh, God. Interesting. Oh, yeah, Age of Empires 4 launches in October 23rd. Yes, it does. We will be playing it and covering it.
Nobody cares about the little reject game.
Arch has a tendency to just, like, you like things, okay? But you like very specific things, and you don't like to mix stuff. It's kind of like with your dietary habit. You're like, I put the steak and the tomatoes on the plate, and if they touch each other, the plate goes in the garbage. That's Barch in a nutshell.
Age of Empires 4 just copied Cossack, says chat. There you go. The things you like are bad. And that is why you need to be ashamed of yourself. In the box you go. Now,
did they copy Cossacks?
For the box.
Cossacks is actually
Let's
another
go
fun
to
series.
The rest.
I like Cossacks.
That's because you're wrong.
Cossacks is fun, though, isn't it? At least I like it. Cossacks, Age of Empires, those are all fun. Oh, it's a shame the new Cossacks sucked.
Put Bear Trap in box. Abdi Muhammad says, check out Duma Politics, latest video, and how Vosh is unironically evil. It's a well-sourced video that shows Vosh's lack, I'm presuming, of morals. Video name is Vosh is unironically evil. You all should check it out. It's already been circulating in my super secret conspiracy chat, and yes, he does make a very good case for why Vosh is evil, but the thing is, that's not the thing. Like, Vosh isn't evil. He's a communist.
But all communists are evil.
Yes, exactly. Like, you're looking at the fish and going like, it breathes water. Yes, I know.
Oh my god. I saw Tanky on Twitter, so I had to stop and laugh at them to make them feel bad. I felt much better after it.
Like, making a video on Vosh being evil it's ridiculous to me because again, yes, he's a socialist.
Why are they?
The only end point for him, where he is to be honest, is marching boots and parades. Okay.
Fine. We'll talk about Vosh. Okay. Here's the real answer. Who cares what some fat fucking loser said? Just ignore him. He's a nobody, worthless little hack. Little fucking femboy who doesn't have any rights and is a little commie. Who cares what his opinion is? Who actually cares? Like, fucking Christ. Like, I hate people that are like, oh my god, Destiny said this. Who fucking cares what Destiny said? Who cares what Vosh says? Who cares about these people? Fuck them. They're retarded, and they're not worth our time. Unless something horrible happens to them and it's remarkably funny, then we can just stop and laugh at them for a little bit.
simply don't care about communists. Nice and simple. It's easy.
They're boring, they're dumb, and they should just go away.
Brett Verdheim says, at least Battletech honors older models. Well, until they become successful. I'm sure we're going to see Battletech screw the hell out of everything else as well.
It's Battlesquick, actually.
That's not painful display.
It's gonna be great.
The Night Clerk, here's my tribute. Now please stop sending rattlings to harass me at work. No.
Chat comparing me to some guy named Styx. Is that good or bad? Who is a Styx?
Oh, Styx. Styx Hexenhammer. You know him. Don't you?
I'd never met him. I know that he exists. He's a man who needs to wear a shirt every time I see him in picture. Like, put shirt on chest. Don't want to look at man boob. At skinny, sad-looking man boobs.
I disavow your racism.
He needs to put the shirt on.
It puts the shirt on or it gets the lotion again.
Or it's gonna get the titty twisters, okay? Then those are gonna be purple nerps, and you're gonna be sad. And he'll learn to put that shirt on. So are we good?
Once more, I thoroughly disavow everything that Kyle has said today, because that's just not very
See,
nice,
he
is
publicly
it?
disavows it, but he low-key goes like, nice base.
And nobody should give him anything in return for his vile, hateful comments.
Listen, chat, when have I never dissed anybody? That's like my shtick. Like, I'm like, oh, I really like that person. Like, I like Razor Fist, and I respect him. I think he's cool. And then on stream, I can't help myself but call him Razor Boy. Like, it's just something that just sort of slips out. And I'm like,
He
oh,
does
shit.
wear gloves religiously, which is fairly homosexual, but such is life.
He's a bit special, but he's a good lad at heart.
Glow in the Dark says, People's Republic of EA. Ah, that's why Kyle simps for them all the time. He's legally required to.
Listen, when I work for EA and get that sweet, sweet EA paycheck, you'll all learn. Nothing, absolutely nothing you'll learn.
Richard Barlow, hi, Arch Norwegian game dev here. What are your thoughts on player-funded game dev? There's a lot of politicization in indie funding and venture capital routes, I'm assuming. Well, I mean, ideally, that's lovely, but it runs into the same problem as, well, a lot of things, frankly. Like, funding a game via the players is a really cool idea, and it can work. Well, we don't know if it can work yet, because Kyle hasn't actually produced anything more than a handful of penis pixels, but in theory,
Wow.
it can work. But it's going to require a lot of time, a lot of self-work, a lot of self-marketing, a lot of fairly dedicated fans, and you're basically having to build everything from the ground up. Like, that's the benefit of venture capitalism, of funding via grants or organizations or even investors. You get the money up front.
You do.
And of course, when you have a fan base too, the problem is, back in the day, we used to be able to separate the artist from the art. And so we were able to watch someone even if they had political opinions that deviated from ours. Now, that is almost a completely dead thing. Like, even if it's something like Subverse, for example, is an excellent example of this. It was a big cultural phenomenon because it was the first, like, porn game in the West for decades. People were super excited. Then they did their thing with me, and suddenly people were, fascist. And even if I was, like, knee boots fascist, like riding boots, okay, full-on riding boots, tiny little mustache, whip, the whole shebang, and every week I march down to town in full goose step fashion whilst asking my local seller of goods and purviews if they had any Jewish soap on order, okay, even if that was me, that shouldn't fucking matter. It really shouldn't. Now, if I was a communist, then it matters, of course, because communists are worse.
That's good.
But, yeah, no, Again, ideally speaking, the idea of player funding is a great one. It's just whether or not you can get it off the ground.
Arch is actually absolutely correct in that. It is one of those big if things, and it boils down to each game and project, right? So in the case of our own project and my own experiences, I invest every penny I make pretty much directly into the game. That's not enough. I then do YouTube to generate more revenue and invest all of that into the game as well. That's still not enough. I can only afford to pay 3 people full time, and I have nothing to my name now. But I managed to do that, which is already as much as I can do. Like, it is not an easy path to take, and I know some indie developers who have taken it, and I know some that have made it, and I know some that haven't. Like in the case of one, where he sacrificed almost everything. He lost his wife, he lost his family, he ended up releasing the game and it flopped. These are the risks you take when you jump into this. You might not make it. It's not an easy thing, and it's a path that you work very hard over, and you hope that somebody cares, and if they don't, well then that's just how it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
Man, I tell you, when Kyle's games flop,
No.
I'll be nice to him for a whole 5 minutes because he'll be really down then, and then it'll be back to usual.
He'll be like, you're not as gay as I thought. I'll be like, oh, thanks.
My day is saved.
It's like, I always thought you were a faggot. That doesn't make me feel better. But, maybe I was wrong. Maybe.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, God. See, the best part is I can open up my channel homepage, and the theme for one of our characters will play. And what's going to be great is I'll get a pop-up later saying that there's another channel that has this theme in it. I'm not going to do anything about it, but it's just something I thought I'd share with you. If you ever get sassy, Arch. So, why? No, Kib. That's right, we have our own OST now. Fuck you. Like one song.
Yeah, it's not pronounced OST. It's called Ost.
Leave the Kib alone, or the Kib will hurt you. With the bad words.
Brett Verdsheim, Arch play Dead Space or will throw an alligator through your window. Dead Space is a bad game, and you should be ashamed for liking it. There you go. EA is bad. Hashtag.
What? Why don't you like Dead Space? Dead Space cute.
Shut up, Stephanie.
Stephanie? I just really like Dead Space atmosphere. The music composition and the sound design for the overall aesthetic is really good. Like, literally the sound carries it. Excellent sound engineering work. Some of the best.
Shut up, Stephanie. Didn't you understand?
Some of the best sound engineering I've ever seen in a video game. It's so good.
Yell at him. Guvi Mantda Umi Staela. My plan for big video game studio. Step 1, steal it. Step 2, big orc, unthink. Step 3, thief. I mean, if you could infiltrate one, why not?
It's a start.
Biontag sends 50 Norwegian kroners and no message. Either too spicy for YouTube or no message. Again, Ridge, the uniform and authority make it kinda hot, Arch. Well, I'm not saying that role-playing with little leather boots in the bedroom is entirely unacceptable, but I am saying that role-playing as a commie is unacceptable, regardless.
Yes, that's true.
Plus, their uniforms were bloody awful.
They're hideous.
Convincing reality. Kibbs want a gender swap Dead Space. For shame, he does.
Listen. Isabella Clarke, hot waifu. You're welcome. Walks out. You're like, that's kind of good.
I would like to show you the BioWare main characters, Kyle, and ask
No.
if you think it'll be a hot waifu.
No! Wait, is BioWare working? What? Oh, that's right. They. I forget that EA killed all my fucking things that I like. They killed Westwood, They killed Visceral Games, the guys who made Dead Space. They're gone now.
Yeah. They'll hand it over to BioWare. And they'll make out of Isaac, they will make him like that elf chick from Inquisitor. The female character that looks like she has been ritualistically pummeled in the face for a good half hour.
She's so hideous, it's not even funny.
She is so ugly. Like, she is kind of a work of art in her own way. Like, somebody had to work hard to make a character that unattractive.
They did. It's actually quite impressive, Dragon Age Inquisition, and how ugly that elf character was. Like, it's impressive. It's like she hit every ugly branch on the way down of character creation, and she manages to look believably hideous. Like, it's impressive.
And when she lands on the ground, then the designer steps over her and smacks her with a lost branch over the face. Just boom.
Wow.
Fucking golf swings it.
Also, you're gay, and you're only a gay character, which, thank God. I wouldn't want to accidentally romance that. That's honestly...
Thank heavens. Like, at least that's a small mercy.
You know what's funny is there's a stereotype that most lesbians are hideous. Well, BioWare loves to perpetuate stereotypes, as we know, because she's fucking hideous. Oh my god.
If she was only a little broadier, she would be the perfect stereotype of a tractor lesbian.
Oh no.
You know, put a little cap on her head, maybe. Oh, lovely.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Have her chew some tobacco and spit it out occasionally for extra unattractive points. We've improved BioWare's character design by leaps and bounds.
We're welcome aboard their team now. Now that we can be on their team, we can make the characters even more hideous. The new Mass Effect that's coming out, I haven't... See, part of me is like, I kind of really enjoyed the Mass Effect universe, despite the many plot and writing problems it had, especially with them flip-flopping about the void energy thing halfway through writing it, and being like, actually, it's just the Reapers are bad for the sake of being bad. And it's like, okay. I thought the Reapers existed to fight the void energy, that thing that was ending the universe. And like, nah, that's too philosophical for us. It's like, okay, all right, whatever.
You may think many things, and none of them are accurate.
Pretty much. Very accurate.
Glowing says, Kibbs grow mold and mushrooms in his fridge, so he can use them for penicillin and drugs for healthcare. He does live in America, they don't have healthcare. An accurate description.
That's true, I can't afford healthcare.
Echo says, hey Osh, I heard your national band ABBA is getting back together. Excited? You mean a bunch of really old people are going to waffle up on stage and screw some people out of their money? I mean, I'm all for it. I don't particularly mind.
You do a little bit, though.
Glowy also says, the problem with many of these woke remakes is takes out the wholesomeness of these old tales like Cinderella, or takes away the grit of 40k. Yes, it does. Cinderella is no longer a innocent princess being bullied by her evil stepsisters. She's no longer a character that you would like to sympathize with. She is now the strong, independent female character with her burgeoning fashion business in the 1400s. It's fine, don't worry about it. Evolved Potato says, why are all your streams so early? This was 7 a.m. and this gave an RP as at like 5 a.m. here in Australia. Why so early? Why is it Kibbs' fault? And why isn't he being beaten more? Since Kibbs is a trap crossdresser, he enjoys chastity, yes? Well, I think regardless of when I do the streams, it will always be early somewhere.
That's true.
That is the tragedy of the thing.
That's true. The planet is round, chat. Like, what? It's not square.
I don't know about that. I've seen no evidence of this. Wanari says, Hail Dark Lord and your Nyan Cat minion, Gibbs. BioWare may be going to the Unreal Engine rather than the highly problematic and compromised EA Frostbite engine. Recent job listing suggested as a possibility. Well, I mean, that would at least make the hideous women look a little bit less pixelated. That would be a thing.
Arch, that's not very merciful to say.
Like, the problem isn't their engine. Like, the reason why Elf Chick looks like she has been repeatedly violated by the ugly lawnmower is not because of the bloody engine.
Listen, it's fine.
I bet you she was designed by a chick who looks exactly like that. And as a child, the doctor just grabbed her by the feet and slammed her into the nearest doorpost. Just, there you go. Some kind of ritual in their local area, I think.
It's like, we must make the women hideous so that the demons don't take them away.
There you go. And ever since, she's wanted to be represented in a video game. Like, I want ugly representation.
Listen, that's actually in a way more endearing than what they did, which is they just made an ugly character. Because at least that'd be
Kind
like,
of it.
oh, she, a horrible thing happened to her, and like she's, got smashed into a door by a doctor who's fucking awful, honestly, for doing that to her. And she always wanted to be a video game character, but she couldn't because she didn't look very pretty. That's actually, I can respect that because, like, you know what? That's cute. Like, okay, yeah, no, she can be a video game character. That's cool. But no, that's not what happened. What happened was, let's make the character hideous for no fucking reason. So, oh, look how ugly we can... You know what probably happened? The 3D modelers had a bet. Like, how hideous can we make this? And they're like, I think pretty bad. Until, like, the board, like, gets mad at us. Let's try to make her as hideous, but also get away with it. That's kind of what it feels
How
like.
far can we go? And there was probably a competition with this as well inside the company. So
Yeah.
one person created hideous elf, one person created the man woman, and one person created the random brown chick who isn't even a companion, she's just your secretary. And at the end of the day, looking at all of these absolute dogs, I had to go with the secretary. It's like, holy shit, here's my romance options. Okay, you know what? Bag on the head and I can live with this. What a world we live in.
What a world we do live in. But hey, look at it this way, Arch. Dragon Age Inquisition was supposed to be an MMO. That part cracks me up all the time, though. Like, unironically.
It's supposed to be. It was an MMO, just without the players.
Without the players and without the MMO experience to actually back it up. So the levels were super boring and fucking awful and empty and soulless. See, what they could have done to make...
A to B, and you fight various encounters, and then maybe you find... See, I liked the dragon boss fight the first time, because I was like, okay, this could be cool.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool. And then I realized, oh, every dragon boss fight is the exact same dragon boss fight.
You know what they could have done to help the game? If, like, honestly, there's a simple trick.
Could have broken the disc in two and flushed down the toilet.
I mean, that's what I did. But the thing is, they could have added co-op, because it was already designed for multiplayer. And then that way you can play this shitty game with a friend, so that way you can laugh at how bad it is, rather than just endure it.
People can suffer simultaneously.
It's like when we played Divinity Original Sin 2, and we just suffered through it. Like, it was an experience. It's like, we had it twice, too. We had it twice. We had it twice.
Speaking of, we probably should replay that game a third time.
Why, though? Why, though? It's not a good game. Actually, you know what we should do is, like, when that Baldur's Gate game is done, we can go, like, down by the river, and then we can play that.
Down, down, down by the river.
That game was kind of more interesting. God damn it, that's right, I have to stream it. That means people are going to judge me every time I fuck up character creation. I hate that.
I don't want to go down to the river.
People are saying your Ogre Rat vid was great.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Look, how dare you say that it couldn't be? You insinuate that it could have been less than great. You filthy
It's a silly
fucking
thing to
heathen.
say. Jack the Outcast says, Hail Arch and Kibbs, I'm taking your advice and boycotting Worm Plus, which is a no-brainer, and no more models until I finish the ones I have. I still have an Apocalypse box of Space Marines to finish. Well, maybe give it a little while longer too. Plastic crack.
You could just stop buying them. You could literally spend your money on a new hobby. Like, video games. There you go. There, that's a hobby that's expensive. You're fucked. The video game hobby is limitless. Endless, even. And it's always producing new content of different varying degrees of quality. From, oh my god, this is awful, to, oh my god, this is amazing. Like Factorio.
Oh. Box.
You're saying that Factorio isn't? How come anytime I say anything that's remotely based, you're like, go into box? I wanted to say that, and now you took it from my potential grubby little fingers.
Box.
Today has been a Kibbs based day, okay? That's Kibbs based day today.
Box.
He's mad. Maybe even a little upset.
Steel Tag sends a super sticker with a pear burning its kneecaps off.
What? Okay. Okay.
Based.
A bit violent.
Don Pete XX. Shadow was enjoying stupid and doesn't add anything to the overall story of Inquisition. If you delete her, nothing would have changed. That is incorrect. If you delete her completely, my stomach would have been less upset at the video game.
Less, but not by much.
Glowy says, lawsuits have been used as a weapon since JP Morgan sued Nikola Tesla into the poorhouse. It is theorized that if they didn't do that, Nikola could have been the world's first billionaire. I mean, you're not wrong. That's one of the problems with our legal system. We do need to find a better way to do it. And honestly, the whole idea of massive legal fee, like, lawyer should not have been an expensive thing. That's the problem, but it has to be, because lawyer requires so much studying, so much competence, so much understanding, and a good lawyer is literally the difference between having your life annihilated and not. So there's no way it couldn't be stupidly expensive, but it shouldn't be. Maybe just make it so that all lawyers are servants of the fucking state. Hell, that'd be interesting.
That might be awful.
It could be awful.
What do you think about the Wheel of Time by Amazon Prime? Honestly, my opinion, meh. Like, Amazon Prime, Amazon bad. Amazon produced mediocrity. Like, when has Amazon produced anything that goes like, oh wow, that's incredible, and that really did do something? Name the one thing.
I think it looks like it's going to follow the usual formula of current year productions. Already, they've mentioned that they're going to be race swapping a bunch of fucking characters. The special effects look kind of cheap, honestly.
See,
and of course, Wheel of Time, the fantasy universe, is inhabited by more black people than downtown Detroit, which is just how it's supposed to be. I don't think it's going to be all that good. I just don't. We'll see. Maybe
there was a point in time where I remember going like, it doesn't really matter if the characters aren't super historically accurate as long as the actors were the best pick for the job. Because I've always believed that. I've always believed that as long as you get the best pick for the job, that's more important than anything. If you find an actor and yeah, he's black, but he can pull off the role and no one else can, then of course. But the thing is, nowadays, that's not the case. That's not the reason anymore. The reason is to diversify for the sake of diversity, to politicize for the sake of politicize. Contemporary politics are the standard in most fictional media, which is bad because now our escapism is gone. Everything is politicized. Everything is divisive. Everything is, like, polarized to such a heinous degree. Like, it's absurd. People attack each other for the littlest of things, or just communicating and talking to each other. You know what's funny? Arch, when I met him, nobody really said anything bad about him. It wasn't until he talked to that one weird buff dude, that Swede dude, buff Swede man guy. What's his name?
Gold one.
Yeah, Arch wanted to talk to him, and I can tell you his reasoning. It wasn't because Arch was a Nazi. He told me, I'm really curious, he told me, on what he's like in real life. And reason behind that was Arch just wanted to meet him because he's like, he's really buff. He's really kind of like, he's extreme, his political leanings, but he's so, like, polite. And Arch was like, I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to meet the guy and talk to him. And when Arch did that, a bunch of people basically turned around on him and were like, you dare spoke to someone? And Arch's like, I didn't agree with them. And they're like, we don't care. By speaking to him, you are a Nazi. And that's where it began. That is honestly where it all started. And it sort of snowballed because more people jumped on that bandwagon because they don't like you or they're jealous of you or things like that. And that's what you get for being curious. How dare you try to communicate with somebody? See, that's what I don't understand. How can you de-radicalize somebody if you push them further and further and further from the sphere of interaction? That's why I think people should have the option. If the Golden One wanted to come play video games with us, I wouldn't even be opposed. That's sure, you can play video games. I don't care. I don't even care what your political leanings, if you're left or right. As long as we just have a good time together, who cares? We should be able to put aside such silly, mundane, tribalistic things and simply just enjoy each other's company for other reasons. But sadly, That's not today's age, now is it?
So long as they are people.
So long as they're not defined by their politics or their gender. You have to at least be somewhat of a human being with
So long
personality.
as they are people. Okay, put that in there because commies are not human. This is unironically the one point where my position has hardened over the years, because I went from like, oh no, absolutely no censorship of anyone, even communists, but seeing them try to literally destroy anyone, use any tactics to do it, I'm like, no, you know what? Some people do need to be censored. Fuck you.
Yeah, pretty much. Like that's kind of like you reached the same conclusion I have, and that's just from my own indie project. Like we tried to be as kind and as like we'll hire based on the merits of their skill, and we still do that. But now we actually curate them. We're like, okay, Bubbles. Who does he follow on Twitter and what does he say? What do they do in their social media time? What kind of stuff do they say? We only hire based people now.
See, I got a lovely little mental image there of Puggles with his nose buried in like a social media folder, just sniffing and throwing books around.
That
Throwing
is
up text.
basically like Bubbles is fantastic at finding and digging for stuff because he's autistic, and so I just send him on that. I'm like, all right, go sniff around, little fucking Puggles, and Puggles goes sniffs, and he's like, good, and I'm like, good, or if he's like, bad, and I'm like, nope, okay, no. That's how you gotta do it. You want that's also advice because I see some people had mentioned they want to do their own projects, and that if you do, awesome, go ahead and do them. But be careful who you bring on board. There are so many snakes in this industry, and there's so many people who will backstab you, or swindle you out of your money, or simply just not do any work, and try to take credit for it. Be vigilant, and always, always write everything down. Make sure everything's signed, especially if you want to use a team. Like NDAs, things like that. Like, I own my IP. The IP is mine. That is non-negotiable. The same should be done for you guys as well. Protect your stuff.
And remember, absolutely no communists.
Honestly, it's probably for the best. As sucky as it is, yes, you should try to work on ostracizing them. And that's what we've done effectively. We've made sure that they can't get into the project. Because we can't have liabilities like that will just spurge out for political reasons. Or worse, they'll pollute the vision with politicized ideas. We had somebody try to do that in the past. They're like, yeah, but Kibbs, there's too many white people in your game. And I'm like, well, there's not any white people because they're not white, they're Astrians, but okay. And that's one too many strikes for you. Get out. The people are this color because of the fucking region they were from, you fucking Muppet. If I make people closer to the fucking equator line, they're gonna get browner.
I still remember the fucking article I saw which whinged about salamanders being black because of solar radiation. God, that was lovely. Like, their skin is dark because of the sun. It's like, really? Tell me more. How does this mystical sun affect
How did you
us?
figure out that the sun affects humanity? Like, humanity changes based on the location they're in? Almost like some sort of kind of animal? Like we're some sort of evolving thingy-mabop? No
You're
way!
an animal, I'm not. Fuck you.
Archer,
Get in the box.
get in the box. You little shit.
Brett Verdheim says, sucks to be you, Kibbs. I have post office healthcare. It does suck to be a kid. It's fine, though. He's used to it.
What's post office healthcare? Remind me?
It's
Oh,
healthcare. You get through the post office, you dumbass.
Oh, well. Wow, mean today. Sassy. No, I don't have healthcare, and if I die, I die. Like I told my team, martyr my death. At least use it for something. Like, he dead.
Chloe, as the socialist communist becomes millionaires, it's no longer that millionaires are the problem, but only the billionaires. Yes, I did hear that Hassan Piker bought himself, what, a $3 million home or something?
Well,
Socialism.
goody for him. I'm glad
Goody
he's
for him indeed.
very committed to his political ideology.
I applaud his capitalism.
He is a very good
Chloe
capitalist.
also says Arch was attracted to the Golden Swan's muscles. I mean, to be fair, he's a handsome lad. You cannot lie.
No, he is a handsome-looking dude.
And he has a ginormous forehead, just like me.
Arch is like, I relate.
I relate.
Honestly, I watched a few of his things, and while I do not agree with his political things, he has civility in a world that doesn't have any, and he has kindness in spite of his disagreements with people. I respect that.
To put it really simple, I would take the golden one over any lefty I had ever seen or talked to or seen on the internet.
Hold on, we have a
Any
couple
day.
lefty friends that are actually decent.
I don't know. No.
They're old school,
They're
though.
misguided.
Arch is like, they're just misguided. They are left-leaning, though, but they're our
Plus,
friends.
they're not left. Not by the modern day Overton window stand. Like, Fag Dog is not left. Fag Dog is in denial. It's like, no, dog. No, back in house.
Hey, dog. Honestly, I like our friend group. Our friend group is actually pretty cool. And we have, it's not an echo chamber.
Puggles is just Puggles. You know, he's like, they're Nazis, we're socialists. Puggles.
Bubbles is a technical, like he loves technicalities. He wants absolutes to the point of an almost annoying degree, because if I try to have a conversation with him, Bubbles will be like, well, technically speaking, that's not 100% true because that one thing's wrong. It's like, oh my, just fucking ignore that one little detail.
Point off. Glow in the Dark says, if an actor was the best for the part, it's not the proper skin color, use cosmetics or movie effects to change it. They did it for the Hobbits. I mean, that would be funny. You know. Well, they did it for Jar Jar Binks. Oh, Jar Jar.
No, I feel so bad for the actor, though. Like, seriously, people did horrible things and said horrible things about the actors, like the kid who played Anakin and, like, Jar Jar. Like, when I found out about that, that kind of made me actually kind of sad. Because the whole thing is like, no, you should bully people, yes, but you're bullying the wrong people. These people,
Yeah, you should bully Dev.
The writers should have been bullied to the point of suicide, not the poor actor.
Yeah. Allow me to leak some shit from our super secret conspiracy chat today. Dev has argued for murdering babies and building a throne out of their tiny little skulls. He has argued for turning all humans' bodies into property and therefore taxable. And he has also argued that a woman's womb should be taxed as property. This is just a few highlights from Dev today. Taken slightly out of context, mind you.
I would assume so, because out of context, that sounds like a very different person.
He's currently defending, I believe, a 12-year-old girl getting pregnant. Ah, yes, he is. Dev.
Yeah, out of context, that's pretty bad. I'm sure it makes sense in
context. Out of context.
See, context does matter, because context can make that not sound so horrible. Like, maybe he's saying, like, oh, she shouldn't be stoned to death because it happened.
Oh no, Dev would definitely be on the pro-stoning side of things. Just yesterday, he was talking to me about the mountains of corpses we needed to build. I was like, Jesus, Dev. Jesus. Ah, Dev. Good little bully puppet. Like 1917, Squeak and Hail, Arch Christ, our Lord and Savior. Also, just do 3D printing. Plenty of people to buy from, and it's infinitely cheaper. Also, EA may be looking to cash in on the anti-woke demographic. We can but hope.
Pretty much.
Convincing reality. Further to Kib's point, race-swapping characters is apparently 100% correct for the woke when it's live action, etc. But those characters apparently have to be voiced by people of the same color. Weird.
My God.
That's just how it is.
Hey, fun fact. Samurai Jack was voice acted by a black dude, if I remember right.
Hey, fun fact. Darth Vader is Samurai Jack. No?
What? Who?
English. No, the Darth Vader was played by the black dude. But the funny part is, Games Workshop, George Lucas screwed the guy over in the first movie because he told him, I will totally use your voice. And he lied to him, and he didn't realize before he saw the first movies in fucking cinema, because George Lucas is a gigantic, earth-sucking asshole.
He is. He's a piece of shit. George Lucas is actually a talentless hack that is lucky he had such a competent team. His team carried him.
He's an asshole.
His team carried him.
But the best part is, in the second movie, the guy now knew that he wouldn't be allowed to use his voice, so he just said random shit on stage to, like, make a point. and to be funny about it. What was it? You know, in the second movie where they're going into the asteroid field, where it's like, I care not for the asteroid field. I must have that ship. Apparently, the dude turned to the Imperial officer and said, I care not for hemorrhoids, I have to shit.
Oh, it must have been a pain to keep fucking straight faces with him around.
They failed a couple of times. That's the funny part. Yeah.
Hey, man, at least they had fun on set. That's good. And they produced a fucking stellar movie, because that's from Empire Strikes Back.
They did.
The best movie in the entire franchise. Anyone who disagrees will be blasted.
And finally, Warhammer on Frostbite engine being problematic. What I mean was it's a terrible engine to work with for BioWare, Mass Effect, and Anthem, plus the source code was stolen. It probably is an awful engine, and they should stop using it. But they should also try to make characters that don't look like they have been violated by a lawnmower. Just a suggestion.
The problem with the Frostbite engine, actually, Frostbite engine is really good for what it needs to do and what it was designed to do. It's fantastic, actually. The problem is EA's board of execs have an obsession with trying to maximize its usage because they think it'll save them money, which is the exact reason why they did it for Generals 2, which is why Generals 2 had so many fucking issues, because the engine was never designed to fucking make RTSs on. And they also had issues with Andromeda's development with the whole like RPG elements, because the engine wasn't designed to do that. It was designed to make a first-person shooter game set in a sort of like, you know, multiplayer environment with destructible aspects and stuff like that. It was never designed to make RPGs or RTSs. But EA's obsession with trying to be like Creative Assembly and use the Warscape engine to the point where it should be just abandoned, in the same place of you like, let's use the Frostbite engine for everything, which is not a good idea. It's cheap. It's a cheaper alternative. But honestly, they would have been better off switching back to the Sage engine that they used for Red Alert 3 if they wanted to make another RTS. Like, it was a mistake to switch, just in the same case of BioWare. They might as well just use the same engine as prior.
You bloody EA simp.
How is that simping in any way?
I disavow.
Literally
And
condemns them.
having gone through all the Super Chats and the Streamlabs, we will end it there on yet another worthwhile disavowal of Kyle's absolute unforgiving simping for massive corporations. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Tomorrow, specifically, for the Skaven RP, where Kyle will be allowed to simp yet further, but hopefully this time for his own party.
We'll
Have a good
see.
one.